There's no way around it. Playing RuneScape is a massive grind. Skilling, bossing, cluing, no matter what your interests are, you will be doing it for a very long time. And it goes doubly so for an Ironman account. Why? Because we have to earn our own items. But it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to playing this game, because when you have a really old account that has remained active for a lot of hours of play, you get a really cool bank with lots of really neat and interesting stuff. And that's what we're going to look at today. What my account has over the last several years of playing and all the time that I had logged. As of recording this clip, my account was created 3,028 days ago, just north of 8 years, and a total playtime of 394 days, 19 hours, and 10 minutes, or a total of 568,510 minutes. That averages out to roughly 3 hours per day. Now I guarantee a good chunk of that time would be me logged in and doing absolutely nothing as I walk away from my computer quite often, or I play while I'm doing something else. And it's not really a daily occurrence as I have taken several breaks during that time period. Anyway, in this video, we're going to check out the kind of XP gains I have, what my average XP per an hour actually is, what my bank ends up looking like, and the ultimate goal of the account, what my boss logs look like. First off, taking a look at my stats, you can see that everything is maxed with a couple of 120s. Now, the XP that I have won't be exact because of the fact that some of these are at 200 mil. And it doesn't track XP past that, obviously. So if I train any magic or farming, that does not add to my total XP counter. I currently sit at a total virtual level of 3,275 with a total XP of 2,270,454,941 XP, which leaves me with an average XP gain of 239,625 XP per an hour, which to me seems kind of low considering there's plenty of training methods that give you well over 1 million XP per an hour. Probably should start using some of those, huh? Next up, let's take a look-see at our wealth evaluator. Looking at my wealth evaluator, my total value on the account is 26,870,223,299 gold. Let's go check out what that looks like in the bank. So as you can see from my first tab here, I think everybody's got a tab like this or stuff where they just didn't know where to put it. So we open up with all of my reset tokens. There's a bunch stacked up that I used for different things. I don't really use the dailies or the weeklies as much anymore. I do use monthlies every month. Obviously, I have about 2 years worth of it right now of just from the giant oyster, but that stack slowly grows. I still do need to work on getting double escape, so that's why I still have these codices. But outside of that, there's nothing really that good or interesting sitting in this first tab outside of a fun collection of troves. I do have 3,800, almost 3,900 big troves, 1,200 full troves. My goal is to try to get 5K of each of the troves for a little opening to see what that kind of looks like. Outside of that, I do have 2 royal pieces that I found while I was trading 120 thieving over at Desert Bandits. I saw a couple kingly implings and was able to snag 2 of those, so I am kind of interested in trying to collect that set and keep it in the bank. But outside of that, there isn't really anything too interesting. I do keep my rings in here for some reason that I get from birds' nests, and I don't know how I have 495 gold rings, but I do. And then I still do have the slivers for the Zamorak fight sitting in here, as well as 93,000 lockpicks from thieving from bandits, as well as all these anti-poisons, which I'm saving just to disassemble in the machine, but the machine's kind of sort of out of charge right now. I also do have close to 9,000 Viswax. I do my Viswax every day, though I do use them for daily challenges, which is kind of why I have 114 rune crafting. I'm currently trying to use my daily challenges for rune crafting. The other interesting thing that I do have in here is this strange egg that you get from segregation, where it does some interesting stuff. So I remember getting this item from segregation, and if you don't know what this strange egg is, you get it from the pile of dinosaur eggs, and you get a message in your chat window saying if you find a strange looking egg in the pile, when you commune with the egg while having a cooked chicken, you get the transmorph to turn your player into a cooked chicken. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't know what it was and I got it and I was just staring at it like, what the hell is this? So yeah, that was an interesting experience getting that. Moving on to our second tab here. This is what I call my general combat tab. So these are the items and equipment that I kind of sort of use with all of my combat styles. So it's a lot of hybriding kind of stuff. So all the rings that I will use, whether it's my Death Touch bracelet, well, rings and jewelry, I should say, my ASR, which I don't really use, my Reaver's ring, my Ring of Death, my Luck of the Dwarves, the Tokolzo, even though that's uncharged, all the ferocious rings, which I guess really shouldn't be here because I just use them for teleports, and eventually they're going into one of my passages. And you know, just the different amulets that I have, like the Salamancy, the Amulet of Souls, my Salve amulet, and my Demon Horn necklace. Outside of that, I do have the 4 main books that I end up using, being the Erethdor's Grimoire, the Scripture of Full, my Scripture of Jas, and the Wen book, as well as all the pages that I have. Obviously, I have a ton of full pages since I do a lot of AFK Wave 4 Zuck, because I just click my foot pedal consistently when I'm playing another game and pay attention to when I have to pot up again. And that's really all I have. There's 4 keystrokes, basically. As well as all my full potions. So anytime I go bossing or anything, I always take a full potion, and it ends up in my Herb Lore tab. You'll see that later. And then when I need to restock, I just stack them all together and go over to the guy in War's Retreat and combine them all. As well as my flasks that I need for combat, vials that I need for combat, like my anti-poison, or my weapon poison, I should say, all my bombs, my power bursts, my super restores, my brews that I tend to use regular vialed brews just because I'm too lazy to turn them into flasks, as well as my blessed flask and my extreme prayers for my blessed flask. I do also keep my cannonballs in here, even though like I rarely use cannonballs, as well as the 4 familiars. Now, obviously, sometimes I use the different familiars for different combat styles, but I figure there's a chance that I'll use each one with every combat style, so I keep them here as well as their scrolls. Obviously, I'm running low on a lot of them, but I do have the ability to deal with that, as you'll see later as well. Outside of that, there isn't too much to talk about. You know, I do have 4 Reaper ornament kits in here, as well as, unfortunately, 0 soul ornament kits left, but hopefully I'll get some more soul ornament kits so I can upgrade some EOFs soon. I have a decently charged attuned ectoplasmator. I keep this, but I never use it, and I don't know what it is about like limited items that, like, because up until recently getting the ghostly essence wasn't very easy, so I just like get paranoid about using the item, so I don't really use it too much. I probably should start using it because I have so much charge now and it's much easier to get ghostly essence, but when it was valuable to me, I just like, it's kind of like if you play Final Fantasy, the elixir mentality of I don't want to use an elixir because I might need this later, and then you never use it. Yeah, that's kind of what happened with my attuned ectoplasmator. As well, I do have some Barrows amulets, which I need to go do some Barrows to do the collection log, which we'll talk about later. But outside of that, there isn't too much super exciting or interesting sitting in this tab because it's really and truly just supplies and small bits of equipment like my rings and stuff. I do have a good stack of food because I did AFK fish during the last Porter event with bait and switch. So, you know, I got 20,000 sailfish and 6,000 blue blubbers. I kind of wish blue blubbers were more common from the swarm fishing spot, but it is an unfortunate thing that they're not. So I only have 6,500 of them. So eventually I will have to go back to fishing some of that. Moving on, we're going to go into my least exciting combat tab, which is my necromancy tab. I do have full tier 90 augmented for bossing, designed for bossing, as well as the tier 90 main hand offhand. I do have 125,000 impure essence. I made all these during the hero pass to finish one of the tasks. I think it was the ritual task, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna turn these all into runes here, so I have more rune crafting to do with these runes. I know these stacks say 0 because everything is sitting in my nexus right now, but I crafted a bunch of these just to kind of get an idea of how many of each rune that I would use so I can figure out some ratios. So got a good amount of inks still. I made 1,000 of all of them just to make sure that I have enough to hit, you know, 120 and get all the supplies that I need and things like that. But there isn't too much in here as well. I do keep my bones in here. I don't know why my bones are in here. I know bones are used for necromancy, I think when I created the stuff for my necromancy tab, I was like, oh, bones are part of necromancy. Let me just stick them all in here. I don't think I'm going to use these specifically, all of these for necromancy, but they're just chilling in here. What else do I have? I do have the full tier 90 tank set. I have a set for tier 90 power for bossing, a set for tier 90 for tank for bossing for like when I'm learning and stuff. And then I do have an additional tank set that is augmented for a more of a Slayer setup, as well as a set of tier 70 power for Slayer as well. The pants are currently unaugmented. I'm probably going to try to make a unaugmented set of each of these as well, just for AFK stuff, so I don't burn through divine charge. But that's kind of what I have sitting here right now. Still have a few extra greater ensouled thread and ensouled and lesser and all that kind of stuff just sitting in here. No more hermetic plates, which I need to collect some more of. But outside of that, I do keep my ice nihil pouches, which is the nihil for necromancy. But yeah, I keep the nihil pouches for the specific combat styles in their respective tabs. But you know, I haven't been doing too much Rossiel, so I'm stuck with the tier 90. I do have the foot wraps here. I just don't like necromancy too much, so I haven't been working too hard at it, unfortunately. But let's go on to the next combat tab, which is going to be magic. So moving on to the magic tab. So I have a decent rune stack sitting here. I've got 4 rune pouches. This one specifically is for Corrosis for Crystal Mask. But I do have a decent rune stack. I got all of these from daily rune shop runs. I was doing when I was playing way more consistently, because I would have a consistent influx of GP. I would do those every day, but I kind of haven't done those for like the past 6, 7, 8 months because I've been really hardcore AFKing. And honestly, even with a full day of thieving from bandits, you kind of don't fund a run of a rune shop run. But the stack's still fairly healthy. And then on top of that, blood runes are pretty good because I do those every single day with the daily challenges. The one I am really kind of nervous about are my cosmic runes, because you know those are stuck at 12k, and when you do use them for your daily Viswax runs, you burn through a whole lot of them. But I might just have to start crafting a few of those, maybe use those for my daily challenge rune runs or whatever. But yeah, that's basically it for the runes that I have. There's something missing actually from here. Let me actually move it in. My magical thread are not in here. Bruh. Never mind, I am blind. They're right there. I have 163 of them. So I can make another rune pouch. I probably should make another rune pouch, but yeah, I'll do that a little later. As for the gear that I do have most of a full set of Crypt Bloom. I do still need that top, so right now I'm using the Sea Singer's robe top. But this set of equipment is set up straight up for bossing, so when I'm learning a boss or whatever using magic, I do like abusing, I shouldn't say using, it's realistically abusing Animate Dead. And as for my power set, I am unfortunately still rocking an Anima Core of Saren set. Best in slot perks basically on all of that stuff as well, with enhanced blast diffusion boots. So I did get the Raksha spike. That was actually the first Raksha drop I had ever gotten, was the spike. And during that time we were in mage meta, so I just attached them to the blast diffusion boots, as well as the enhanced Carapax wrist wraps. I think I still need to get the augment from the Zamorak thing for that. What else do we have? For my main hand offhand, I currently am using tier 88 ports weapons. Obviously I do have an FSOA Aurora Dyed, and I do have a Caraming Swamp on my Noxious staff. I also do have the Inquisitor's staff, so that was kind of cool to get. But outside of that, there's nothing too special here. I do have an additional set of defensive equipment. Specifically, I actually made this stuff specifically for Wave 4 Zuck, but now that I can do that with necromancy and without overloads and all that kind of stuff, I kind of use that instead now. I do have a decent amount of draconic energy, but I don't have the tectonic energy to make anything, so I have to hold off on that for a little bit. As for the other stuff, I do have 2 magic EOFs. One of them is my currently Flames of Zamorak, because I was using it for Zamorak. I like to debuff him because the Gothic staff isn't as useful there. And the other one has my a Staff of Armadyl, or not Staff of Armadyl, I'm sorry, my Armadyl Battle Staff in there. I'm not sure how useful it is anymore, but I didn't want to get it replaced even when it did get changed up with when the FSOA did get changed up because it is such an expensive piece of equipment and a pain in the ass to get. So I decided I want to hold on to that. I do have the channeler's ring, which is pretty cool. And for a shield, I just sit with the Farseer kite shield. I do have an ancient lantern as my defender, but defenders are kind of useless right now with bone shield. So that one really doesn't matter too much. A decent amount of corrosive flakes and Gano flakes. I don't know why I still have the Gano flakes. But yeah, nothing too exciting outside of that kind of stuff here. I do try to keep up with my massive pouches. I need to start making sure I catch those traveling merchant shop runs from the air rune that you can get, so I can stack up on a few more of those. But outside of that, there's nothing super interesting outside of maybe these 300 fire altar teleports. Before, when the FSOA was using auto attacks, I was like, oh man, I need to go get a bunch of blood rune tablets. So I used all of my points to get a bunch of blood rune tablets. But when I was on my phone, I hadn't realized what I long pressed, and what I ended up long pressing was fire rune tablets. So yeah, I have a ton of those, which is kind of pointless. I don't want to just drop them and get rid of them, so they're just kind of shorter sitting here. But outside of that, I do have a couple more deaths as well that I use for clue scroll teleports and things like that. But yeah, that's basically all there is to it. A good chunk of my combination runes, well, the smoke runes and the lava runes, they'd come from wave 4 Zuck, so those numbers should be going up again soon when I get back to capping off necromancy with that. Let's go on to the range tab. Now, I don't think I did such a great job with organizing this, but this is the best that I could, because the ammo ends up looking a little strange with how I have this all set up, but you can kind of see what we do have. I do have the best in slot bow with the Bow of the Last Guardian. I have it setting with caraming, because with range especially, I don't like the super sweatness of trying to use swapping to caraming for greater ricochet, which is the ability I want to use the most, obviously. So I just kind of caraming for camp that. For my dual wields, I do have an augmented ascension crossbow and an offhand chaotic. I'm part of the way through another ascension, but I got a bit to go on that, but I really don't feel like doing that. Especially considering if I do range, I don't really use crossbows, even if I need adrenaline. I try to use main hand, offhand magic weapons and tsunami to get my adrenaline buff, instead of trying to fit in a what's that ability called again? It goes boom. Incendiary shot, that's what it's called. I don't really use incendiary shot, and I rarely use the crossbows anyway, but every so often I'll put them on for Hydrix Gricko or something like that. As for the equipment, I have not upgraded this. I don't like ED1. I still need to do it though. I do have a full set of Serenic as well as fleeting boots and my nightmare gauntlets. I currently have 2 full Pernix quivers set. Obviously, as I said in that first part, I do have a bunch of troves, so I should have a few more of those, but right now we've got a green one and a blank one. The green one's going to be for my Bic arrow, and the red one's going to be for my full arrows, but I'm trying to figure out what I put in extra. When I do Corrosis and I finally do finish that and start getting Death Spore arrows, that's probably going to be the second one. For now, I typically keep my Hydrix bolts in there as well. We do have a Stalker's ring. It is a base Stalker's ring, so I rarely actually ever use that. I just kind of use the what's that ring called again? Reaver's ring for my ring typically. I do actually have a second set of stuff here. This is more Slayer armor. So I have my Elite Robin Hood, a full set of Elite Robin. I don't know how I got lucky enough to get that so quickly, but I do have that with Slayer perks, and a pair of Flare Frost boots, which I don't ever use because fleetings are just typically better all around, from what I understand. I do have the upgraded Dwarven Siege Cannon. That's pretty cool. Decent stack of anima as well. So I did 120 fishing at the big spot, just completely AFK. So I have 2.5 million of those. And obviously I've done a lot of wave 4 Zuck, so I have 500k of that. Something interesting that I have been doing, as I said, my goal is to, well, I'm knocking off some 120s, either completely AFK or semi AFK. And the AFK that I've been doing currently is making Dine arrows. Editing Funk here, I feel like I should clarify, Dine arrows are not really AFK. The way that I've been personally doing them is I just haven't have an alarm set between clicks of saying, so 45 seconds between a click, it pops off for me so I can go click the screen again. But that's basically how I'm doing that. So I have close to 1.1 mil full dyne arrows done, and another 1.06k of, or 1.06 mil of headless dyne arrows. So I just got to get the sharp shell shards for those guys. So I should have like 2.2 mil when it's all said and done, with the Ranger's Workshop buff and the Fletching Cape buff and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be exciting to get that done. It's about 100,000 more sharp shell shards that I need to collect. And outside of that, there isn't too much more left in here that's really exciting. I mean, I could also tip these rune arrows, but by the time I finish up the dyne arrows, my fletching level will be 120, so I don't really see a need for that right now. Basically, a lifetime supply of Serenic scales is pretty cool. But yeah, outside of that, not too much too interesting going on. I have something I find amusing is I actually have less Onyx Bolt tips than I do Hydrix Bolt tips, because I obviously save all my Hydrix Bolt tips. But for the Onyxes, they just kind of sort of get sold as I need cash if I want to get something special like animation overrides or things like that. So that's kind of my cash fund right there. But yeah, nothing else too exciting in this. So let's go to the final combat style, which is my least used one, which is melee, which I typically only use in hybrid scenarios. But before moving into the melee tab, I realized I forgot to talk about something specific, which is my ranged EOFs. I do have 2 EOFs. Neither of these are ornamented, unfortunately. The only ornamented one that I do have is my magic. I think there's a melee one that's ornamented as well. But I do have a dark bow and a spare dark bow, just in case I screw something up somehow, which is my green one, which is the one I typically use the most. I'll probably ornament this pretty soon, actually. Take it off the melee one. But the other one that I have is this blue one, which is an ECB. I got really lucky on this during the Thox combat week or whatever, where I literally just darted Ambi the entire week and ended up getting 4 total Eldritch crossbow pieces. So I hit a full ECB with 1 ambassador kill on the log. So that was fun. 4 pieces actually, because the last one doubled. So I only need 2 more ECB pieces, and I don't need any more ECBs ever again, because I'll have a physical one and I'll have the one in the EOF. Now we can move on to the melee tab. So as I said, my melee tab's not super exciting, nothing too impressive. I have 2 pieces of Havoc with the boots and the top, 3 I guess, because I have the hood as well. But I still rock the masterwork legs and gloves, but typically if I'm using a melee, I'm hybriding, so I'm typically using the something else that's hybrid worthy, either the Cinderbanes or the Death Touch bracelet. As for weapons, I don't have anything super exciting, you know, just a typical Abyssal Scourge and the augmented Dark Ice Sliver. I do have a Masterwork Spear of Annihilation that does have best in slot perks as far as I'm aware, as well as a Dragon Rider Lance for my makeshift scythe. I also have a Lanika's Spear, which I typically only use at Raksha to clear pools. 17 Warrior Ring, so once I do get that piece, I can upgrade that, but I'm still waiting for that drop as well. But outside of that, nothing super exciting. You know, I do have a Jaws, which I don't put on ever again, because typically, again, Vestments of Havoc. Random rune plate legs. The reason for those rune plate legs is because for a while back, I wanted to create a video series on ChatGPT taking on bosses, so I had to use their equipment or whatever. And for the first episode, I had to use rune plate legs for the giant mole, because that was what was recommended. So do have the tier 90 shield here with the malevolent kite shield, and yeah. But outside of that, nothing super exciting outside of 4 total melee EOFs. So I find this a little bit funny that I have most of my EOFs sitting here are for melee, but it's the style that I actually use the least outside of maybe Necromancy. The yellow one here, I have a Dragon 2H, which I typically use for wildy events specifically, just to get the KC as fast as possible and hit my damage limit, because literally if you Zerk and then D2H spec, you just kill everything and get like 1 billion damage for like the mining event or something like that. The ornamented one is my Dragon Claws, so I have Slice and Dice sitting in there. This black one is the EZK. I did get super lucky on an EZK. I'm going to talk about that when we cover the boss logs, but you'll see what I'm going to say there later. And finally, I do have a Statius Warhammer one as well. The strength Ammy again is kind of just there for the that video that I was talking about. But outside of that, nothing else is super exciting that I can really see. I do have a couple god swords and whatnot, but that's not really that all too exciting. I do still have a Fang. I need to make that into so I can replace this Dragon Rider Lance. But you know, ideally, I'm probably gonna end up getting my Easy K before that, so I'll have my two-handed switch in that instead. But for now, that two-handed switch is sitting with the Masterwork Spear of Annihilation. Moving away from our combat tabs, we have my summoning and divination tab. Now, I keep all of my familiars that aren't either a combat related or just general kind of familiars, so skilling familiars, things like that, and the items I need to use those, as well as some divination energy. I don't know why I left the divination stuff in here. It just kind of seemed to go together with summoning. I don't know why. But I have a decent stack of charms here, as you can see. I mean, nothing super crazy. It's not like it's enough to get me to 120 anytime soon. Maybe with those crimsons, but once I get back to Glacier and that ends up being one of the AFKs that I do, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have enough stuff to just do it with Water Titans with the blue charms and stuff. But outside of that, nothing super exciting. I have about 10,000 binding contracts sitting here as well, in raw materials. Probably gonna be a little bit less because I'm gonna lose some to the shop, because you know I lose to the shop all the time. That's a throwback to an old video of me getting merched by the shopkeeper from selling stone spirits. Sell the stone spirits. sell the stone spirits. It'll all be okay in 15 days when the death cost rework comes around. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Uh-oh. Alright, I'll just buy 500 of each of them. But outside of that, nothing super exciting that I'm seeing. Yeah, nothing too much. I do have 40k memory shards here, which are going to turn into porters eventually. I don't know why the memory shards are in here. Like I said, some divination stuff is in here as well. But let's go on to my skilling tab. My skilling tab is kind of huge. I kind of keep everything that I want in here. So I have my skilling outfits that I can use consistently. You know, I'll use the Magic Golem outfit every now and again. I'll use whatever. So I don't like collecting it from Diango, especially if I have a preset set with it, like probably farming preset or whatever. So I keep a lot of my skilling stuff in here as well. But I have a ton of energy gathering scrimshaws. As you can see, anytime my Ancient Bones hit that cap, I just make a few energy gathering scrimshaws. That is a good AFK as well. I did do a lot of elf thieving, so I have a bunch of these outfit pieces here, but nothing too crazy that I can see. And then I have all of the skill capes that I've earned. Obviously I am maxed, as I said, but I have every single one in order that I got it. So, you know, my first one was the invention, and then the farming, and then the herb lore, and so on and so forth. But yeah, outside of that, nothing super crazy. I hit these three are all my 120s that I have before necromancy, and then I got my fishing and so on and so forth. Outside of the combination capes, I just kind of put those over here. I don't see anything super exciting. I got a few brawlers over here, kind of kept them together in order or whatever. But yeah, and then more outfits and things like that. Outside of the supplies, I don't see very many things that are, you know, very noteworthy sitting in my supply tabs. Obviously, I have a few battle staves and pieces and stuff like that. These two, the fire orbs and the earth orbs, get a ton of them from Zuck. I think in my 100 hours of Wave 4 Zuck video, I talked about having a few mil of crafting XP from it, and a good chunk of that is from here. I do keep my prayer renewals and stuff in here as well, because I use prayer renewals whenever I'm thieving or whatever. So there are certain skills that you need prayer renewals for, and since I don't really use them for combat, since I overload salve everything, yeah, these just sit in here. Outside of when I'm AFKing Wave 4 Zuck or do something that I don't want to use overloads for, I just use these instead. But I have so many of them. I made a ton of them in my herb lore training, and honestly, probably more than I'll ever use. So yeah, I have a good decent stack of that. Good amount of some dragon hides and things like that. Like I said, several millions of crafting XP that I do have just in raw materials. It's just setting the time to actually do it. Something that I do wish, as you can see, I have 105 onyxes right here. Now it's not a huge stack. I kind of wish you could just, you know, stick these guys inside of the alch machine, because I hate alching them, but that's all I use them for. But yeah, nothing super exciting that I can see. Small stack of elder logs that I just collect from Coden every day. Good amount of porters that I can use for now. All my stone spirits, you know, we get a ton of those, right? But yeah, I thought my favorite part of this tab is just watching it expand and the numbers go up. Big numbers make my ape brain happy. 15k onyx dust. I tend to just alch this stuff as well, because I can stick the onyx dust in the alchemy. It's definitely not efficient. It's definitely way better to actually convert them and then alch them, because the fact that I can stick these in an alch machine and I can't stick this in an alch machine, I choose to do that. That's all that's in the skilling tab. Let's go on to the farming tab. So our farming tab is organized by seeds. So it's going lowest tier herb seed to the highest tier herb seed. And then I got my tree seeds and then so on and so forth. Random seeds that I have 0 of, and 2 spore sacks. So these are not used yet. I think these are just the base version of it. I honestly don't know because I haven't used it yet at all. Sand seeds and mystical sand seeds. I don't understand why the sand seeds over here are not tradable. They should be. I should just drop them because they're kind of useless. Grapevine seeds, you get a lot of these from Wave 4 Zuck, so that's a good way to get those so I can make my Super Sarah brews and all that fun jazz. And I have a good stack of leafy growth potions. But outside of that, nothing super exciting. A decent amount of golden roses. I was doing these daily. I need to start doing those daily again, but I don't want to burn the soul runes, especially since I'm not doing anything to make some money. So I'm not doing the daily shop runs. So I just kind of hold on to these golden roses. I haven't even done the stuff for the thing to be able to make them in the most efficient way. So I don't want to convert these into powders until I can actually do that. So I'm just kind of sort of holding that for now. And on the bottom, we see all the farm animals that I collect. A lot of stuff from collecting making dine arrows. So I have a ton of these zygomites here and a ton of dinosaurs and a random Araxite spider egg unchecked. I guess I got that from killing a Raxor. I don't remember getting it, but I did get it. Let's move on to our food tab. So our food tab contains a good chunk of the food that I don't typically use for PVM. So my pieces of blubber jellyfish and things like that. Probably should move the cooked food into my general combat tab, but I think I have enough food in there. And if I need to, I'll move these guys. We have about 16,000 raw rocktail. I don't know why I have that many. I'm sure it's from bossing and things like that. Manta rays. I don't know where these 882 manta rays came from. Oh wait, you know what? I do know where they came from. I did probably also get a good chunk of them from AFKing during the last porter buff. So I was fishing at the swarm, so I probably got a bunch of those that way. Funny story about these green blubber jellyfish. I've never actually ever used green blubbers. I know they're actually really good food for like low level stuff, but I very rarely ever use them, and I actually never did use them. I ended up getting these on accident when I was fishing on mobile, trying to set up during a day of, I set up a full day of fishing just to make a bunch of blubbers and stuff like that. And I didn't realize that I was consistently hitting green spots on accident or whatever. So yeah, I have a good amount of green blubber jellyfish that I will never, ever use. I don't know why my grape stacks are in here, but they are in here. So, oh my God, grapes as well. Let's go on to our herb lore tab. So my herb lore tab is probably one of my favorites because it's probably one of my most well organized ones. I have all the herbs that I need, from the grimy versions on top, the clean versions on bottom. Then I go into my 4-dose potions that are all stacked nice and neat next to where they should be, and their lesser doses all underneath. So I really like the organization that I have here, but when you scroll down, it's not nearly as nice and pretty, unfortunately. But anytime I use a potion, they tend to go into here, and I just decant them from here. So I got a good stack of all these potions and everything. A lot of empty spaces. So it looks a little funny because I do consistently, you know, when I start running low, I just turn them all in, and I'm a person that just like can't handle the full potions going down. So I never really actually use this tab too much. Well, I use this tab consistently, but I don't really use it in a productive way, I suppose, because a lot of these are obviously sitting at 0. So yeah, outside of the holy overloads, I made like 800 of these initially when I was going for 99 herb lore, because I thought, hey, I'm just gonna use holies everywhere, and then I realized holy, that's probably not a good idea. So I have a bunch of these. Luckily we do have the holy aggression potion, which I probably will turn these all into. You know, I have my stack over here, or yeah, holy aggro overload, but I got to turn those all into those. So that's why I'm still keeping those. Otherwise, I actually did start disassembling them before that was released. So yeah, I have basically a lifetime supply of that, and I'll never ever use them. But I'm sure eventually I'll find a use for them somehow, some way. Probably during like the caps grind or something. I don't know. But outside of that, nothing super exciting outside of the big numbers of herbs. I'm probably could hit 200 mil herblore off of this. I need 64 million XP. If I make a bunch of elder salves and things like that, I probably get there, but I don't know. We'll see. I did make a bunch of power burst defeats too. I don't know why. I can't really think of a very good use for them. But yeah, I need to find somehow to use those guys. I'll probably use them for like, what if I need papayas or something, because I think you can just auto fire off of things like that. If there was a way to get a bunch of Spirit Muspahs, I would definitely use them there as well, because all the free divination products, unfortunately, it's a pain in the ass to get all the stuff you need for Muspah familiars. But scroll down, you'll see all the secondary items that we have and all my incense sticks that I use. So the main ones that I use are all right here. You know, my dwarfs sitting here, my Catantines, my Quarums, my Lancidimes. I do need to organize this a little bit more and get more incense sticks set up in here. Got my modified botanist mask right there, but yeah, nothing else really too exciting in here. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a place to stick these little 2 overload doses because not enough space up here, so they're down here. I'm sure I can find a better place for them. And I have all my birds nests, which I haven't opened. Some of these are woodstone spirits and eggs and seeds and all that fun stuff. So I'll eventually open these guys up. But yeah, outside of that, what is this? Oh, yak milk. I was trying to figure out what that was. I was like, why are my buckets of sand in here? But I do collect from yaks. So that's what's sitting in my player-owned farm, so that's why those are there. But yeah, I like the top look of this. This is so pretty. I wish I could get the rest of my bank to look this good. Next up, we have our clue scrolling tab. So I don't know why this top row has some of the stuff that it has, like Pete's Candlestick and the Ring of Potency and Mimic Kill tokens and Broomstick or whatever, but there's some random stuff in here. I guess I just kind of tossed these in here and just left them in there forever, as well as my Ring of Charos. But after that, it's all clue scroll stuff. So all the skip tickets that I've collected along the way, all the god book pages I've collected along the way, since I don't really use god books because they're kind of pointless since the Elder God scripture books, the scriptures. But back to that tab, I still have these. Every now and again, I'll throw on the Zamorak one or the Saradomin or the Guthix one, but yeah, they don't really get too much use. I think some of them are actually kind of useful. The Emerald Book of Law is still pretty good at necks and things like that, but outside of that, not much use for them. If I don't feel like using a Wen page or I'm out of Wen pages, I'll use that kind of stuff. But it's honestly easier to get the scripture pages outside of the big scripture, which is sitting right here, obviously. Yeah, so those get used a lot more instead. I also do have all my fire lighters. I remember these were so much fun to use. Since I made an Ironman, they haven't been useful in a long time. So obviously I just kind of collect them as I do my clue scrolls. I don't know why I have a shield left half in here, but I have 4 of them. And then I have my quote unquote fortunate. So these are all items I can turn into fortunates once I get them. So I have a few plate leggings and skirt ornament kits, a few full helm ones, but I don't see myself ever getting a dragon full helm, yet alone 5 of them. And then I have another 6 right here, which again, don't know how long it's going to take me to get those fortunates out of there, but they're there. As well as 5 plate bodies. Again, don't see myself getting that anytime soon. So I've a bunch of fortunates that are never going to turn into fortunates, basically. And then my Globetrotter outfit, I do have the full set, as well as 53 manuscripts of Bic. I've done a good amount of Croesus, but not nearly enough. And that number is going to go up once I open up all those thousands of Bic troves that I have. A lot of these caskets I kind of got from penguins and things like that, so that's why they're just sitting in here. I do actually want to do all of these clues. Actually, funny thing about my elite, so you see I have 120 in here. I actually have a lot more sitting in the Zuck chest. I just don't collect them because I went over the cap from the fishing. I probably could collect collect it from the chest right now, but we'll show you how many we have. But before I went back to the fishing, I was keeping this number at 49 just so that I could keep collecting elite clues from Zuck, because you can still get past the cap via that way, because the ones in the chest don't count towards the soft cap. So I actually have a lot more elite clues. I'm going to show you what I have that in a moment. Editing me here, I did collect the elite clues from my Zuck chest, so that brought my elite clue stack to 403. Yeah, so I got several hundred clues here and a bunch of caskets that I have to open. I kind of want to do all these clues and then do a massive clue opening. I think that'd be kind of fun to do, but I hate clues, so don't really feel like doing that right now. Outside of that, everything else in here is kind of just used for clues. You know, I got my Dave spell book. I've got my clue weapon, which is glowworm mobile and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure there's a way I could make this a little better and more optimize my clue setup a bit more, but there's some stuff that I probably have to unlock for that. After that, we have my archaeology tab. I don't know why I still have an archaeology tab. It's not like I train archaeology at all anymore outside of collecting stuff for binding contracts. I do have a few Tetra Compass pieces here, but I like to collect a good chunk of them before I do them since I have the weapons and all that kind of stuff. I still have to make a few of the relic powers or whatever, so I still have this Seed of Charu Seek Tree inactive. I have to make that and a couple other things. And then I have a few just random artifacts that I have to complete, as well as torn blueprint fragments, but those are pointless for me because I have all the blueprints. And yeah, so they're just going to sit in my bank forever, I guess. I have a bunch of these possession medal script because I like to AFK during the Golden Porter event. I kind of sat at a actual dig site, so I had a bunch of these. I just kind of started destroying them, and then I was like, screw this, I'll just keep them in the bank. So yeah, I've got a bunch of those. Now the next tab that we have is labeled God Wars Krill for some reason, but it is not God Wars. It is another tab of just random holiday stuff that we get, as well as my barrow set, because these I don't want to get rid of. I did make the mistake of destroying a few barrows items, augmenting them, disassembling them, yada yada yada, but I figure by the time that I finish Linza, I should probably have all the barrows items, and you need those for the Rots pets. So I started just collecting them and putting them in here, and when I put them in here, I was like, well, these are all items that I'm going to keep, so I just kind of sort of kept them in here. I got a bunch of Dragon Rider boots and gloves from the event, so from the Wildy events, so these just kind of keep stacking up in here. So these are basically items that I'm going to keep forever, as well as holiday items, I suppose, as well as a another Laniakea spear pieces. I've actually can make a few. I think I've been able to make a few of them over the last times, but I dropped a few of them over to my main for bond money a while ago, but I don't really like using bond money, so I just kind of sort of keep that. Then we have our golden cape over here, which is apparently worth 18 mil. Who knew? And a couple of Easter eggs, some of the shoulder capes that we got from previous yak tracks and things like that, and some holiday items and a whole slew of tokens. I don't know if any of these are actually worth anything. Let's take a look. 3K there, 44 each there. Oops, that was supposed to be an examine. 4K for these guys. The snowman building, 4K. Christmas tree cape token probably is nothing. Snow cape tokens probably nothing. Some little 50K. 3K for that guy. 5K for that guy. I remember one time I was doing this and I found one that was worth several hundreds of mil. I got 2 Soul Witch tokens from the Soul Die event, so I activated one. I can't. All these things I have personally activated as well. Oh, that one's actually worth some money. The Bone Master outfit. What about these pet ones? No. Pumpkin trees, no. Lame. None of these are worth anything. And some overhead emote tokens. But yeah, nothing else really too exciting. I got the old lantern title a few times, and my spring cleaner sitting in here, and obviously the garbage Christmas food sits in here. Now our last tab is going to be our kind of random mass drops tab. So I have all of my keys for ascensions, still missing 2 signets, and I guess I'm partially on my way to make a 3rd one with an extra green one. Yeah, so I just kind of left the keys in here and the signet pieces in here. Got my spider leg pieces that I obviously need to recollect because I made my noxious longbow, I made my noxious staff, but I still have to make the scythe. God Wars hilts, my bone bowpipe pieces, my part of the T-Maul, and a few of the pieces to make some ports, weapons, and things like that. But outside of that, nothing super exciting. I do have all my stuff to make some Kopeshes all lined up nicely over here as well as a sneaky little worm heart that I got. I really do wish that this was the bow one part. When I got it, I got excited because I thought the heart was for the bow, but obviously I was wrong. Because technically that is kind of sort of best in slot for their shield bow, but again, shields are now useless, so that really doesn't matter too much. I got a few Pernix pieces, some Vertus pieces, and things like that to turn into essences and stuff. Got some Blackstone hearts, as well as 5 Vecna skulls. 5 of them. Still, I have had a couple blurberries as well in the account, but I just never held on to them. I kind of wish I did, but I, for some reason, keep a hold of my Vecna skulls. But yeah, and then I keep all of my salvage here too, in alchables, battle staves, things like that, as well as my gilded plate skirt. For some reason, I just kind of leave here. Outside of that, I do have a good stack of keys that I want to use. I kind of want to stack these up and see how I can get them, and then just do an awesome like opening of seeing what we get out of like tens of thousands of these keys. So that'll be quite a bit of time before that happens, but that's basically all there is to the bank. Let's go on to something else. So the last thing I want to be overviewing is our boss logs. Looking at the Araxi boss log, I'm actually pretty decent way through. I have 389 kills, and I'm only missing the berry pet and the Mallory pet. Now you can see that I did get 3 webs here, as well as 3 spider leg bottoms, but if you remember in the bank, there was no spider leg bottoms in there, and that's because I accidentally, well, not really accidentally, I rage disassembled stuff from Araxi just because I was like, I'm never coming back here again, rawr! But I will go back and get that all topped off, but that was clearly a mistake. Looking at the Arch Glacier, I'm sitting at around 1,300 total kills with a decent amount of the log done. Fortunately, I still don't have any frozen cores, which means I'm missing both the weapons, and I still need another offhand for the base drop and stuff. So need the Nihilus for that and stuff, as well as a couple more wings, but we're got a decent amount of progress done with the Glacier. Long way off with the Barrows brothers. I've only done 462 kills and have about 23 items unlocked. As I said before, basically I have to redo this entire log because I disassembled a bunch of the items well before I thought I was going to be going for Golden Reaper. So we have a whole lot more to do here as well. With Rots, I have 226 kills and a decent amount of malevolent energy. Still have to get all the energy for the pots and stuff like that, as well as I'm missing a merciless kite shield. I thought I was going to get lucky and get all 3 shields without any dupes, but I did get 2 Vengefulls, so that's always fun. Not much to talk about the Chaos Elemental. I've rarely ever actually killed it outside of Reaper tasks, and obviously a lot of these drops do come from the Revenants. I do have 2 Stadius Warhammers, but one of them was corrupt, and then I have my real one in an EOF, so we got a long way to go with this log here. Getting pretty close to the Commander Ziliana log, just missing up the Armadillo crossbow and the pet with 934 kills. What I'm going to do is get my normal KC up to 1,000, so I hit the threshold, and I'll just start camping hard mode for the pet. But we're a good amount of way through because I did this for Chump to Champ in order to get the Ceradomin's Whisper, but it took so long to get as I've gotten 5 murmurs and a hiss. I'm sorry, no, I was looking for the hiss, but I got 5 murmurs and a whisper by the time I got 1 hiss. So 934 is actually where I finished that hiss as well. Corp. Didn't do any corp. Got 99 to try to get the holy elixir for something and then walked away. I always find Corrosis to be a weird one because I got the first like 50 kills in group instances and got the legs and I believe gloves instantly, and then I didn't get anything for until like kill 450, and then I knocked basically 2 boots, the helmet, 2 spore sacks, 3 books, and the pet, and those last 50 kills. I do have to go back to finish this up, but just not a huge fan of doing Corrosis, to be honest, so we'll get there eventually though. As for the Dagonoth Kings was one of my most recently completed logs, nearing 5,000 KC. I actually did have to stay after finishing the log because I needed a couple more rings, but I do have all the rings that I need, as well as plenty of hatchets and stuff like that. But yeah, never going back here because there's zero purpose of going back here now, but definitely felt good to get that one done. The Dragonkin Laboratory definitely felt good to finish. It was one of my earlier finished logs, one that I thoroughly grinded through. I have 1,300 Draconic Energy, so hopefully I'll have enough to never need to go back. But I did get a whole lot of Furies, and Furies are an awesome codex to get, specifically for bond money. I got 3 of those drops, 2 of them actually doubled. I finished it up with the Flurry ability codex, I believe, a while back, but just north of 100 kills to finish that log out. Moving on to General Garda, this is one of the logs that I finished most of what I needed very, very quickly. At 667 kills, I would have laughed if it was at 666, but I did need the extra kill for something on this log that I wanted. It was probably for the full Bandos set, to be honest, because it was very, very early in my Ironman. But yeah, I will go back, obviously, kind of do the same strategy that I have for Commander Ziliana of getting my 1000 normal mode, and then just camping hard mode to get the pet. Not a whole lot to say about the giant mole. I'm at like 50 kills total, 36 hard mode, 22 normal, with 3 dragon 2-handed swords, cleaning mole, and still looking for the pet. As for Greg, I spent most of these 130 kills kind of started doing it AFK. I did get lucky one time off of an offhand shadow glaive. This was a long time ago where I would just do it on mobile, but I really haven't done much Greg, unfortunately. Hellware is definitely one of my more spooned boss logs. I have basically the entire log minus the pet and all the pieces that I need with 3 crests of Saren. But yeah, not a whole lot to say about this. Is same kind of deal, just got to grind out that pet. One of the newer bosses of Hermod, same kind of deal. I just kind of do this completely AFK. I have 310 kills so far with 31 plates, so right on drop rate for that. Did get the animated drumsticks and still looking for the pet as well. And my saddest log being the Calphite King with 50 kills and no drops, because obviously you can't really expect to drop in 50 kills. With the Calphite Queen, I'm at 252 kills, and part of this was me just practicing my keybinds for gear swaps, because, you know, this is one that you used to have to kind of sort of hybrid with, so I was just practicing that motion with it with the Calphite Queen and the exiled Calphite Queen. Moving on to one of my favorite bosses, which is Carapac. I almost have the full log, obviously, just still looking for that pet. It's one of my favorites because this is the one that really motivated me to want to learn how to get better at PVM and things like that. So I'm closing in on 1000 total KC with 423 hard modes and 546 normal modes. All of this was done solo. Being Black Dragon, a lot of these drops are obviously just from the wilderness events, so do have to do this. This is going to be another one of those AFK grinds that I eventually do. Kriara is actually one of the first bosses that I finished a full log for. I have 865 normal mode, 459 hard mode. This is kind of what I used to start learning how to get into manual combat. So I did a lot of this with key presses while I didn't know what the hell I was actually doing for PVM. So that was kind of important for me, but I got this log. This is the first log that I ever finished, and it is the log that definitely it helped me a whole lot with getting used to manual combat. Krill is definitely one that I dislike. I did a lot of this trying to get the pieces that I need for necromancy. So I'm at 1661 normal mode kills and 50 hard mode kills. I still have not gotten a Zammy Spear. So I'm looking for the Zammy Spear and the pet. Probably continue doing hard mode to try to get the pet and the Zammy Spear. But if I don't get the Zammy Spear prior to the pet, I'll swap back to normal mode for that. Moving on to every Iron Man's worst nightmare, which is the Legion's boss. I do have most of the signets that I need for my second one, but it doesn't really matter since I have 0 pets. This is one boss log that I'm not looking forward to doing. I hate the key mechanic, but it is something that I'll do, and probably something that I'll just fully AFK for. Raids, I don't do raids very often. I do have to get back to doing those. I only have 42 Beastmaster kills, and if I scroll down to Yakimaru, I have a total of 4 of those. So yeah, whole lot of raiding that is still left to be done. As for the Magister, I'm sitting at 404 kills. Just like Legios, absolutely hate this boss because keys are dumb. Get rid of key mechanics, please. As for my next log, I'd argue that it does look good, but I'm still very far away. Still need a Torva plate body, Pernix chaps, Pernix gloves, Virtus wand, and the pet, and I'm at 506 kills. So with 506, yeah, this log looks nice, but let's face it, it's going to be a while because there's so many drops that I'm definitely going to get way more duplicates here as well. For AOD, I am quite the spoon here with 180 kills and an ice chest, but nothing else in there. Nice part about this is once I do get the other items, I will definitely have the title done. Probably, obviously not the golden title, but the chest is usually the thing that stops people from title. So that's always fun to have. Something amusing about the Queen Black Dragon, I know a lot of people go for this, but I just completely skipped it. So all of this is done off of a Slayer task one time that I did, that I closed out with QBD. So I'm at 61 total kills, have most of the log minus the kite shield, the dragon bone upgrade kit, and the pet. But if I ever do want to decide to go try to grind out an HSR, this is probably where I'll end up doing it. Raksha, or as I like to call it, hard mode Jad. I dislike this boss thoroughly. It was definitely a pain in the butt because the first drop that I ever did get was very late, and it was just the shadow spike. It took me forever to get all the codexes that I wanted, obviously. Ended up getting 2 greater chains, 3 fleeting boots, 4 blast diffusion boots, 5 laceration boots, and most of these boots outside of the fleeting boots obviously were actually from the normal dinosaurs. So was not very lucky here to start until the very end of it, but one that I do not want to go back to. I hope I never have to. Well, I will eventually in order to get full straight out best in slot, because I do need 2 more shadow spikes. Raziel. Have I mentioned how much I hate necromancy? I'm sitting at 194 kills with just the foot wraps. Obviously, I'm not really complaining about the drop log that I have. It's just, I hate that it's only with necromancy and I can't do any damage otherwise, because I'm just not a huge fan of the necromancy combat style. Now, if you recall, when we were talking about the bank, I said I could make a whole lot of Lanika spears. As you can see, I'm missing 1 more to make a piece in order to be able to make 5. So I made 4 of them, sold 3 of them, and just have the other pieces just sitting in my bank. I have 1,300 total kills with no pets, and I'm still missing the Heart of the Warrior as well. Now, I will say this KC is a little bit cheaty because when I was doing matriarchs, I would AFK one, my buddy would AFK another, and we would just tag each other's dinosaurs 2 to get double the KC with half the time. It's a great strategy to be able to use in order to get more matriarch KC. This is probably my favorite log that I have doing the ambassador and the shadow reef, because I have a full ECB just missing the pet with 1 KC, and that is because during the Raptors Rampage week, I spent the entire week darting the ambassador with the buff and ended up getting 3 total ECB pieces. The 1 KC I did was specifically for Reaper Crew, a long time ago, but everything else has just been straight up darting it. So I have a full ECB, and the last piece that I got was actually the mechanism. So I only need 2 more ECB drop pieces in order to have 2 full ECBs, and I'm sitting at 1 KC, which is pretty cool. The Solak log isn't very special, but it's a little bit funny because if you look, I have 71 total kills and 116 pages, but I have never actually gotten a cluster. So I guess I'm a bit of a leech when it comes to Solak. A lot of my kills where I die in the middle of the kill and my team of amazing people just end up killing the boss. So I still get the drops and stuff. So yeah, Solak almost has as a positive KD on me and had a positive KD on me for quite some time. Still looking for both the blight bounds, the staff, and the pet. Absolutely nothing to say about Telos. I've only done 2 kills, 1 for the necromancy thing and 1 for Reaper Crew, so no drops obviously. Nothing much to say about ED1 either. I've only done 1 full complete run, again specifically for Reaper Crew, and sitting with 6 ancient scales, with which I think some of these were actually grabbed elsewhere, so I'm not sure exactly where, but I do have 6 ancient scales, so long way to go here. The Twin Furies, I haven't done this one in a long time, since, well, probably years in all honesty. I have 434 normal mode kills and don't have a single crest, but I do have 2 weapons, main hand and 2 offhands. One of these offhands is actually my clue scrolling weapon with glowworm and stuff, and then still need both pets obviously. I know I already said this, but I actually think this is probably my funniest log ever. So I have 38 total normal mode Zuck kills and 6 hard modes. In those 6 hard modes, that's the number of times it took me to get the hybrid cape. I have an obsidian blade, a magma core, and a hilt in those 6 kills. 29 total igneous stones. I'm still missing magna tempest and the pet. But if you'll notice over here, I don't have a hard mode KC. That means it took me longer than the timer to get all 6 kills as well. So I got a full sword and the hybrid cape before killing Zuck fast enough to be able to log a time. This is definitely going to be interesting. As for the Hurakan log, I obviously have all 4 capes and the fire cape as well. Still looking for the shrimpy pet, but that'll definitely happen with the Zuck log as well. Vindixa is a log that I am closing in at. I do have 102 hard mode kills and 530 normals. Again, this is more of a learning boss for me. I use the hard mode to get used to manual combat and things like that. So we have the entire log minus the Gorvek part of the pet, so still working on that guy. Virago's another one that I'm kind of been spending my time leeching a bit. I had a buddy that would keep taking the clan over to hard mode kills so that we could all get our omens pieces, but still missing the legs. I was gone the week that we did that, so hopefully we'll be able to get a team together for that, but still need the offhand main hand. And as I said, I don't have enough tectonic energy for some tectonic equipment, so I do need to do that as well. The Zamrock log actually makes me laugh as well because I have a 259 solo kills, 102 group kills, but I do have a good amount of that log done. I have basically everything I need, one piece of every single bow piece. I do have the top, 2 helms, and 2 boots, as well as 2 codexes of lost knowledge. So I am just looking for a vestments of havoc bottom and a chaos roar. I think it would be absolutely hilarious if I ended up finishing this log on chaos roar, and part of me is definitely hoping that that does happen. And for the newest boss, Vorkath, I have not even attempted it because I haven't even done the quest for that, so can't really talk about that too much. And that's what the account looks like after 8 years. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. As always, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.